Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Today, we are back again with another trade of Hellblazer. So, for all you Hellblazer lovers, or soon-to-be Hellblazer lovers, because this is fucking awesome, enjoy. I mean, basically, like this is one of my favorite comics. I believe I already said all this shit like when we first did the issue. What was it, episode 6 or 5 or something? Or is it 4? I don't know.
Way
whatever.
back then.
Whatever. Whenever we did the original Volume 1 trade of Hellblazer, I was introducing John to John Constantine, and he was he liked the Jamie Delano stuff, and he only likes it even more now. So
Yes. No, after reading this, I was like, oh, dear God. Like this, and like Matt was saying before, like a lot of this story is all of the good stuff in the Constantine movie, and had that movie been this exact comic,
yes,
holy crap,
it would have been fucking great.
Amazing.
But for some reason, they're like, no, we need to throw in Shia LaBeouf.
And
You know? I don't know why, but we do. So yeah, you're gonna get a lot of. We might reference stuff that we hate from the movie in this. I don't know, but we'll see. But I do like that movie though, so I will say that I would be fine if they made a sequel and even if they had Keanu Reeves be Constantine again, I'd be fine because I like the movie okay, but I would hope they would do a better adaptation of another run of Garth Ennis or something.
And you know what they could do is they could have him have blonde hair, but then like black at the tips, like he had it dyed or something.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly. Or the roots are coming out.
The roots are coming
like
out
he
blonde.
died. He was trying something new. Damn it. But but yeah. So this run is. This is like the beginning, the first trade of Garth Ennis's run on Hellblazer. It is called Dangerous Habits. This trade actually, and I didn't know this when I picked it up to read it, but it has the last 5 issues of Jamie Delano's run because he did issue 1 through 40 of Hellblazer, and then gave it over to Garth Ennis, and Garth Ennis then the 6 issues of this Dangerous Habits run are 41 through 47. So, and this sets a different tone. Like we read the whole trade, and I specifically wanted John to read the whole trade just to get like the difference in feel of like the character from between writers and whatnot. But yeah, so first things first, this is written by Garth Ennis, like we said. The art is by Will Simpson, and it's from 1991. And like I said, it's 6 issues, like the first 6 issues of his run. But before that all started, like I said, the last 5 issues of Jamie Delano's run happened. And I wanted you to read it just because there's one issue I wanted to talk about. Just briefly. We'll touch on it briefly. But I was reading this, and it was one of the most fucked up issues ever. I don't remember what the issue is actually called, but it's about a dad who has a son who's like a disappointment to him. And because the kid's like a vegan or whatever. And we find out the dad is like a butcher, like a pig butcher. And he's like an asshole. And he like brings his kid to work day when he's like, "You're a man, son. It's time for you to kill a pig." And he like brings his son to like the killing yard against his will, and then like wants him to like kill all these pigs and like herd them up.
Also, it's his birthday. It's his kid's birthday.
It's his birthday. He's like, "Happy birthday! You're
This
a
is
man."
what you're doing.
Yeah, and he's like 13 or something. Like he's not a man. I don't know. He's like he's definitely like we'll call him a sensitive kid. Like he's not like your average, I guess, man's man from the 80s or whatever.
Is it sad that I felt like the dad was my dad, like, because he would be like, he kept calling him like a girl part of the comic, and I was like, I was having like PTSD for this.
Oh my God.
Like,
I didn't even think about that, but I'm sorry, John. Did your dad make you kill a pig?
No, but
No? All right. Well,
no,
that's
but
good.
It was, tried to do the demasculine thing. It's like, why can't you just be a healthy, well-rounded human being?
Why do you want to take ballet? Why can't you play football?
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever the fuck you.
Anyway.
Well, I'm sorry, John. I hope your dad isn't quite as bad as this dad, but
no, definitely not. But
and you're not quite as effeminate as this kid was either. So this kid was definitely like, they really made him like kind of like I said, a super super sensitive kid. So,
yeah.
But yeah, this issue was just super fucked up, and like I just wanted you to read it because it's so like it was one of the most horrific episodes or issues I've read of this specific run. I mean, there's a whole other part of Jamie Delano's run that has like a serial killer killing children and stuff, so that's super fucked up too. But like this just had like in a single issue was horrifying how this dad treated the kid and like we won't go into everything, but basically the kid has a real bad day. The dad makes him like kill a pig or like tries to make him kill a pig and then decides to string him up and stuff instead and like treats him like one of the pigs. He's like, if you're gonna be a sow, then we'll put you in with the pigs, and like throws him in the pig yard, and then he also like throws him in the pit where they throw all the guts and the heads and stuff. Oh, it's so fucking gross. And so anyway, I just want to touch on that because it was like one of the most horrifying things ever. And also, like we talk about, I've heard people talk about like politics and comics and stuff, and like this was a really good way to do the politics and comics because the kid is like doesn't want to kill or eat meat because he's like a vegetarian or a vegan or whatever, and this is like kind of a new thing that's happening in the 80s, right? So like he's trying to be like a pacifist and a more learned, sensitive person, and his dad is like the old league. So yeah, he's a little bit more like it's more hyperbolic the way he's acting. For some dads, I don't know, maybe not John's dad, I don't know, but for sure, he like this is a good way to get your point across, but not beat people over the head necessarily because the story is so like freaky and like what the hell.
They drew the dad's face several times, like he reminded me of those. The creatures that talk really slow in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
The creatures that talk slow.
I don't remember the name of the alien race, but the ones that
the ones slow. That like the DMV or whatever. Yeah. Okay, yeah. He looked like that for sure, like all the wrinkles and everything. Yeah. He looks like a couple demons that are earlier in the book too. So like I think they were referencing that stuff, but. Just like he's such an asshole, and that issue's great, and that was issue number 38. So if you want to read a really good issue, we might actually even touch on it during Halloween because it was so freaky and like messed up. So we might do a little single issue thing for Halloween on that one. But anyway, back to the Garth Ennis run, Dangerous Habits. Like, I mean, this is quintessential Hellblazer. Like, this is kind of, and I was telling John this before. In Jamie Delano's run, Hellblazer is kind of lost. He's kind of trying to figure out, like, recover from bad shit that has happened in his past where all his friends have died, and he just can't seem to get his life together. And then at the end of his run, he makes it all come together, and now he's like a whole person again. And you get a little bit of his cheekiness, especially on the first trade that we read. I think it was our issue 4, or our episode 4, the Original Sins. But the like he's kind of cheeky, kind of funny, kind of got a little attitude. But in this is where it really focuses on him being like just a straight up fuck you to the devil, and I'm awesome. He's got a lot of bravado. He's got a lot of attitude. And even when this is all about him dying. If you've seen the movie, you know why. But like, he's dying in this, and he's still like trying to figure out how he can save himself, how he can fuck the devil over, how all that stuff. So we'll start off right away. Issue 1, which is actually issue 41. He basically finds out he's got cancer, like lung cancer. It's terminal. He like wakes up one day and he's coughing, and he's like, oh, at first I thought it was just like I bit my tongue or something in my sleep, but then it kept coming up, and then it was blood, and then it was something else, and then it was something that really shouldn't be coming up, and it was like the way they drew it looked like bubble gum or something, like continuously like, coming out of his mouth.
I just threw up like a part of me.
yeah, and it was like basically parts of his lung are being coughed up and stuff. And so then he's like, oh shit, something's wrong with me. So he goes to the doctor, and they're like, yep, you got terminal cancer, you got a few months. And he's like, Jesus Christ, like I gotta figure something out. I can't die like this. And like he knows also like this is weighing over him because he knows he's going to hell. Like he knows he hasn't done enough good stuff to outweigh the bad stuff that he's done in his life. And so, he's definitely going to hell, and he knows that. So he's trying to not do that. And also a lot of demons and stuff through the last 40 issues they want him to die so they can torture his soul in hell for a long time.
Yeah.
So so he's trying not to do that, obviously, and no one wants to die anyway. But in his quest to like figure out what's going to happen, he like goes to talk to another doctor friend who runs like a cancer ward, and he's like, why don't you talk to some people and like see how it is? Maybe it'll like give you some closure or like peace about it. And he meets this guy named Matt, who's like an older dude who's also terminal, and he like becomes friends with him pretty fast. Like even I was telling John this, it kind of seemed like maybe this was going to be like an evil relationship or something, like something bad was going to happen either to Matt, like he's going to die right now because of Constantine, like everybody that becomes his friend dies, or he's going to be like a demon or something.
Oh yeah, I expected just especially the way they drew him in some of the panels, like he's not well, he's dying, but so I mean
they give him like a big evil grin sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it looks kind of evil. So I was wondering if maybe like at the end he was gonna be like, I gotcha. It's it's me, the devil, and I've got you here or something. But
yeah, something like that, or like he would smile and then all of a sudden he would explode and it would be the devil or whatever, and you'd be like, damn it, he got mad or something, So, but that did not happen. But at first I thought, like they're introducing this character to die, which is generally what you do if you want to have someone die that matters but doesn't really matter. You're like, here's a new friend. He's great. I love him. He's my best friend. And then, he's the guy that dies in it. It's hard hitting for your character, but not too much. But that's kind of the weird thing about this. The pace of this comic is it goes way faster now too. Like there's still inner dialogue and there's still him talking and stuff, but these 6 issues went by way faster than the previous 5. And it's just because with the other 5, with Jamie Delano's writing, you have to read every inner dialogue to follow what's going on. And in this, like the language just flows better, even in the inner dialogue and stuff. So Constantine's talking to himself, but it just there's less of it, and it's just cleaner or something about it, or it's like less bogged down or something. But I went through these issues really fast as opposed to the other 5, which I was like, wow, this is taking a long time to get through 5 issues here. But so like, yeah, that's pretty much issue 1 is just him dealing with like learning that he's got cancer and meeting Matt. That's like kind of the main points of it. And then like issue 2 starts off like right away. He's going to Ireland, and you're like, oh, what's he like? He's taking like I guess they have like a boat that goes between Ireland and England, like a ferry. And so he takes the ferry to Ireland to meet his buddy Brendan, and Brendan is another like magic pal from back in the day. And I guess they haven't seen each other for a couple of years or something.
Yeah, it's been a while. He said,
yeah, because he's like, hey, how's your old girlfriend? He's like, oh, we have not been together for a long time. Or he's like, oh, that was the last time I saw you. Okay. So like they, basically they're like, Constantine says he's going there because Brendan is like one of the cleverest guys he knows. Maybe he'll know some way to like beat this cancer
some
thing
spell
or figure it out. Yeah, some spell or whatever. So, he goes there and he meets Brendan. Of course, right away they're just fucking drinking and like hanging out, and then they like basically John. It takes a while for John to like tell him what's going on, but he like basically Brendan's like, oh, I want to show you my liquor cellar and everything. So he shows him all this beer and wine and like spirits that he has in his cellar. And he says like, oh yeah, I have like the best ones here. It's taken me forever to track them down and all this stuff. And then he's like, you want to see something else that's cool? And he like opens another door in their cellar. There's like the cellar of the cellar.
Yeah.
And he's like, I found this place, like my foot went through the floor or whatever, and I had to figure out what it was. But basically, I like had to look up a bunch of records on this place. But they walking down the stairs as he's saying this, and then there's just like this well or like little water hole in the middle of the floor. And he's like, this is like holy water. It was like St. Patrick stopped here and blessed this well.
That's right.
And so it's like literally holy water from St. Patrick blessing it in this water. And he's like, and Constantine's like, man, I must be drunker than I think, because I thought you just said holy water from St. Patrick or whatever. Like, this is crazy or whatever. And then in the background, you just see like Brendan doing stuff. and he's got like a pentagram. He's like drawing like stuff. He's lighting candles. You're like, what the fuck is he doing? And then Brendan's like, well, they talk about Jesus making water into wine. Well, like check this shit out. And he like turns that like holy water well, all the water in it into Guinness.
Yeah.
He's like, I figured we could have a couple pints with some fancy magic or whatever. So, and even Constantine, he's like, you're not supposed to do that with magic, He's like, shut up. We're, it's fine. Like, just have a pint or whatever. I'm sure the devil's not going to come get me just for, having a pint or whatever. So they get a pint, and he says it's like the best Guinness ever.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I can't remember how he described it, but it was basically just like the white part goes down so smooth, and like the black part follows it down, and it's like honey on my lips, or like he's like it's like the best thing I've ever had. It's like this holy water Guinness, and then they sit down and drink some more, and then they start talking to each other, and this is where Constantine's like, okay, like I didn't just show up to say hi, like. Basically, I'm going to come clean. I kind of like came here just to see if you knew how to beat cancer. I have cancer. And then like Brendan's like, son of a bitch. He's like, that's hilarious. And Constantine's like, why? What the fuck? And he's like, because that's why I wanted you to come here when you called you. I was like, yay, because you're the cleverest person I know. And I figured you could help me beat liver cancer. So they both have cancer, and they're both terminal, and they're both dying. And both are the others they thought salvation possibly for this, sickness. And this is like this issue is like one of my favorite issues of all. This is like one of the ones I remember like almost every time I think about Hellblazer. Just the way it like really shows the craftiness of Hellblazer. But so the guy, he's like there, and he passes out. Brendan passes out, and like Constantine's like, okay, well, I'll just let myself out then. See you, buddy, for the last time, because they're both terminal or whatever. And so as he's leaving, a man shows up. And who is this man, John?
Is the devil.
Is the devil. It's one of the devils, at least.
Yes.
We find out there's three, basically. They call him the first.
There are three, I guess, kings, you said, of hell?
Yeah, like, okay, so this is a little bit of backstory on this era of Vertigo books. Like, the all of these horror titles that were coming out from DC are under the mature title or the mature imprint of Vertigo. And so Swamp Thing, Hellblazer, Lucifer, and Sandman, I think, were like the main books coming out of that line at this time. And at some point, Lucifer leaves hell, and that's when the book Lucifer starts, when he abdicates his throne in hell and comes to earth. And I believe that then hell gets three kings that then have to like figure out how to share power. And this is the first. They call him the guy that shows up at Brendan's house. And then later on we meet the second and the third. So they don't really call them by names other than that.
Yeah, and I feel like I've seen this in other stories. Like I know I've seen this in other stories specifically. Like I've seen it like Sabrina. I've seen it in
the concept. You mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean even like Supernatural has when Lucifer's in his cage and like not in hell. Then there's a guy that's called the King of Hell and he runs hell. So like it's a very. I mean this is from the 80s or whatever. So like like I think this was probably the first thing to ever do that. If I could guess. But and this concept is pretty interesting just because it gives him a lot of different villains other than Satan every time, So he's got three different archetypes of three different kinds of devils to fight that are the kings, and then whoever their minions are under them. Like, because even in the first trade, he fights Nergal, who's just a lesser demon. Yeah. So like, you have a lot to work with in hell, but it's not always Satan, which gets kind of boring after a while, I would think. So, but anyway, so the first comes in, and he's just like, well, hello, Constantine. Like, and he looks like a very dapper, like, man. His hair slicked back. He looks like Billy Zane from Titanic or something. like just very well put together gentleman of aristocracy or something.
I'd love to stay and chat with you, sir, but I'm here for your friend. Yeah. Was it Mr. Flynn?
Yeah, Mr. Flynn. We have a special arrangement that I'm coming to collect on or whatever, And he, As you can tell, me and John are not British because our accents are not very good. So don't expect good accents. I'm sorry if we offend you, but I'm not going to do an Irish accent because that might even border on very offensive. But
Yes.
but if I do in English, I'll be like hello or whatever. So it just won't be good. So
you're gonna do what Eliza from I feel bad. My wife is gonna kill me. The movie she loves, Pygmalion.
Oh, Pygmalion. Hello, I'm Eliza.
But yeah, what's a Pretty Woman? Not Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman. What are you talking about?
What's the movie with Audrey Hepburn? I'm like My Fair Lady. Oh my god.
My Fair Lady. Okay.
I hope my wife does not listen to this episode.
I knew what you meant
now.
with Pygmalion. You're good on just Pygmalion.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I could do my like whatever street chimney sweep accent or whatever from the 40s England or whatever it would be. But yeah, I won't. I won't do it. I'll try to maybe just do like a gentleman-ish accent, but not a straight British. So. But anyway, so this guy comes in and he's like, I have an appointment with your friend. And I guess his friend is like literally dying right now because he says, basically your friend made a deal with me to like, he wanted to have like the finest spirit or drink ever. Like he wanted to taste the best drink of all time. So like, he sold his soul to the first to be able to achieve that through his life. And now that he's got liver cancer, he probably figured that out when he had liver cancer. So he sold his soul when he got liver cancer to do that. And then he specified in the document or whatever, where he's like bargaining with the devil. And even like the first even brings this up, like, your friend, he's an idiot. Like, you're trying to like, mince words with the devil. Like, it's just little.
Yeah, you think you're gonna get me on like a little caveat or a technicality.
And so like basically he said, but you have to take my soul by midnight of the day that I die. So he's dying in the basement, or he's dead actually, I think now, because Satan's there, or Satan or whoever. The first is there, and they go down. Constantine goes down with his friend. He's like, what the fuck? Like, you can't take my friend's soul to hell. And he's trying to figure it out. And he, when he tells him that clause of, basically midnight, and he looks at his watch, and he's like, oh, there's like 5 minutes till midnight. So, I might be able to stop him, kind of thing. So, and even the first is like, no, don't think you can trick me or whatever. Like, nothing is going to be able to stop this. And so while he's kind of like talking, he's looking at the first is looking at Brendan on the floor, and Constantine's like, gets an idea, gets 2 glasses, gets a couple pints of the holy water Guinness, and is like, hey, you know what I've always wanted to do since you're here? I've always wanted to be able to say that I could drink
with the devil,
have a pint with the devil, And so the devil's like, all right, like,
I got time for a drink.
Yeah, I mean, 3 minutes, who cares, whatever. So they drink, and he's like, well, that was quite good, Constantine. And then he's like, Constantine looks at him, he's like, for holy water or whatever, and he's like, what? And then all of a sudden his face like turns red, and then he's like basically like burning from the inside out. You can see like it's like almost like his chest is split.
Yeah, I think Constantine like knocks over like a candle or something, right? And it like stops the spell and it turns it all back into water, right?
Yes. Basically he hits the altar over, and also like grabs a bottle of wine and shatters it so that he's got like something to stab.
That's right. Yeah.
With. And then so the guy's like, so the first is like choking and like almost rupturing from the inside out, like from his chest. And then Constantine like stabs him, and then he like and then the first falls back into the holy water. Now that has been turned back into holy water from the brew. So he falls in there and he just like evaporates in the water. So him being a king of hell, he doesn't die. But his like essence just goes back down to hell. So kind of like Supernatural, where if a demon dies on Earth, they don't die in real life. They just well, if they get cast out or whatever of this realm, then they get cast out or back into hell or whatever. So he goes back to hell, but all fucked up and everything.
Yeah.
And he's able to save his buddy Brendan's soul.
Yeah, he looks back and he's like, oh, I did it.
Yeah, like basically Brendan's still dead, which is sad, but he was able to save his soul like a good friend, So then, that's pretty much the end of issue 2. He's just happy his friends died, but not that his friends died,
Happy that he's going
but his
to
friend's
heaven.
soul is going to be in heaven now or whatever, and not in hell. And so, but he's still like trying to figure out what's going to happen to him. So he's like hitting his Rolodex. This is from '91, so everybody's still got a Rolodex. He's he's
looking for somebody who might have the answer for him.
Yeah.
To like be able to take care of his cancer.
Yes. And so he calls this person named Ellie. We don't know who she is. She might have been in the comic earlier, but I briefly kind of remember her, but we just know she's like an acquaintance of John's that he called. And she's like, oh, wow, you must be desperate if you called me or whatever kind of thing. And they have a little bit of back and forth and talk. And he's like, can you do anything for me? Like, and she's like, basically we find out that she is a demon.
Yeah.
And she's like, do anything for you. Like, I can't do shit for you. You're for sure, just so you know, like when you go to hell, like the first is super pissed. He's like preparing hell just for you.
Is she? I assume that she's like one of the top like help aides to him or something because she was like the boss.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why
pissed.
she's able to give him information or whatever and whatnot, but
I assume that they were friends at some point. That was my like. I still work for this guy, so like he's the boss, but maybe they were friends at some point.
Yeah, and so, she's like, I don't really have anything to tell you other than the first is gonna kill you, like in hell, over and over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah, just for eternity, he's going to rip your soul apart every day, and John's like, oh great, no, I got something else to look forward to, But then she's like helping him troubleshoot, and she's like, and this is fun. They kind of reference Swamp Thing. She's like, what about the green one or whatever? And he's like, yeah, no, that one's tapped out. Like he's kind of pissed at me right now, as he always is. So I don't know what happened at this time. This is like after the Alan Moore run, I think. Anyway, so it's probably like he's all pissed off at him and mad at him. This would have been like when maybe like his daughter was being born or being made, around that time.
Yeah.
Because Swamp Thing uses Constantine, as we saw in the original Sins trade, to be able to have sex with Abby to have a child.
That's right. I assumed he would because at first they were like she said the elemental, and then he said something like the green one. I'm like, oh, okay, it's Swamp Thing.
Yeah, it's Swamp Thing. She's like, maybe
cool.
he could clean your blood with his plant apparatus or whatever, whatever he can do. And he's like, no, he's definitely not going to help me. And so then she's like, well, you could always go to the snob. And he's like, God damn it.
She also said you could repent.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
He's like, there's no way I can repent.
No way I can repent everything I've done. And she's like, yeah, good point.
I don't even remember all of it.
Yeah. So then she's like, oh, you could go to the snob. And he's like, fuck, I hate the snob. He's such an asshole. She's like, I know, but he might be able to help you. He knows a lot about stuff. So then we cut to like this fancy ass country club, and there's this dude like talking to this other gentleman. Like there's this big fat dude, like little fat dude, like he's like short fat dude talking to this really dapper, like well groomed man in front of a fireplace in the country club. And the guy's talking, and this well groomed man isn't even listening, the tall man. And Constantine comes up and he's like, hey, I want to come into these doors. And they're like, sir, I don't think you do. You do not look like someone who can even enter this place. And he's like, this was cool, I thought. He did like a Jedi mind trick where he's like, no, I'm in all the right clothes and you like me or whatever to the guy. And he's like, you are in all the right clothes and I do like you.
Please come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. He literally just told his friend that had died that you can't use magic like that. And then he does something
all the time. All the time Constantine does that shit. But yeah, and so he walks in, and this conversation was just finishing up between the snob, we find out is the tall guy, and this short fat man. And the snob was like, oh, John, and just kind of like pushes the fat guy aside, and that guy's like, oh, I guess I'm done talking. And and John's like, hey there, snobby, like, how the fuck are you? And he's like, hey, I'll take two Guinness over here and a bag of vinegar chips or whatever. And they're like, we do not serve Guinness or chips. These chips, as you call them in this country club, like you must eat fine lobster and drink champagne or whatever. And he's like, yeah, whatever, just bring me something. And like basically he's just showing how all these people are so like stuck up and aristocratic and assholes or whatever. And the snob is definitely one of them. And this character is supposed to be kind of analogous to who's the angel in the movie? Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel.
So this is supposed to be what Gabriel. This is who Gabriel was supposed to be in the movie. So like, an angel who is on Earth for some reason. Not 100%. They don't explain much in this. I think this might have been one of the first times they've showed him, or the first time they showed him.
I think so, because he eventually, they go through their whole conversation, then at the end, basically, he's like Gabriel. So you're like, oh, it's, yeah.
But we don't know why he's there,
why he's
or
there,
you know what's going on. But basically, this guy likes to just hang around humans and hear their stupid ideas and then talk shit back to them, like, oh, you think that's clever, do you? Well, I think you're stupid, or whatever. And they're like, oh, yes, sir. My bad. You are right. This is stupid. And so it's like he just likes being amused by humans or something. And basically, like, the snob tells him, like, you're for sure going to hell.
Yeah.
And nothing you ever did that was, like, good can make up for anything, all the bad stuff you did.
Yeah, I love that he's like, I think I need you owe me an explanation of why I'm not going, and he's like, do you really? And he just starts listing off all of this bad stuff he did.
Yeah.
He's like, you smoke. First off, you got lung cancer because you smoked cigarettes for 30 years and like you smoke like 10 packs a day. You tried to kill your father, like, and he just starts rattling off all these things, like you killed all of your friends basically.
And he's like, fair point.
Point taken.
Point taken. But for realsies, you owe me because like I've done shit for you, and then like you have a debt to me. And the snob is like, I'm an angel. I don't even know what a debt is. Like, I don't recognize debts. Like, how are you going to make me pay for it, basically, And so that's a fun idea, I think, is the idea that, like, an angel, you might owe, or you might think he owes you something because you help him out or whatever in this. But he's like, I'm just an angel. I don't know what debts are. What are you gonna do? I'm an angel.
He's unfrozen caveman warrior logic.
Basically, yeah. He's just like, I'm beyond these things, such as debts or human trivial things or whatever.
Yeah, because he was like, you've done a lot of stuff. I don't hold those against you, but you've done a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah. So he's a really good character. I kind of like him. I know he appears later on in the other Garth Ennis stuff. So. If we continue with some of this, maybe we'll see some of that. But basically, he just says like, "No, you're fucked, and I'm not gonna help you, and like have fun burning in hell, and I hate you or whatever." And Constantine's like, "You motherfucker," and just leaves. So he goes to a bar to get drunk because what else are you gonna do after that? Yep. And then like while he's there, he's like, "Hold on a second, I'm thinking of hell like as wrong. Like I'm thinking of this whole thing wrong. Like hell isn't just a place. It's like a person. And I can like figure out how to outsmart these people or whatever and like get around this because I'm fucking John Constantine." And
that's right. I've been thinking other people need my help. I'm just going to do this myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I help people all the time get out of these weird conundrums and shit like Brendan or whatever. So I'm going to do that to myself. I'm just going to think of something. And he thinks of a plan and he starts laughing like maniacally in the middle of the bar and everybody's like, what the fuck? Like, he's like, like, that's it. I'll do that. And then the issue ends. So it was like, fantastic way to end that issue. I thought it was fun. And then issue 3 is just basically like him basically telling everybody in his life, like, I'm dying. And like, I love you and I'm dying. Like, so he goes like his sister, Cheryl, and says like, oh yeah, I'm dying, like tell everybody I'm sorry and I love them and everything. And this is where, and I think Garth Ennis does this really good, and not so much the Jamie Delano stuff. Basically, he makes you feel like, or see the sensitive side of Constantine as well as the brash, like bravado side of Constantine. So you get like, you feel more for him when he does stuff or stuff happens to him, I think. Like, in this, you see he goes to his sister and cares about people for real because he puts on this like nihilistic facade of like, fuck everybody and everything. I'm John goddamn Constantine. But then when it really comes to it, he's like, okay, I got to tell my sister, like, I'm dying and I love you. And also I love my niece and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like he made a point of his niece and like the
husband, actually, he's like, tell that guy to fuck off. But everybody else, you and the daughter, I love you guys. So
yeah. And they had like a legitimate like embrace.
Yes. And then like, he has his buddy Chaz, who is famously played by Shia LaBeouf for some reason as a 16-year-old, but he's like a 45-plus-year-old man in this comic. And this is
so good.
Yeah, he like he comes to pick up John, and John's like, "What happened to the what? They really have mini cabs now, huh? Because he's got this little baby like Mini Cooper cab that's green for some reason, and because Chaz drives a cab normally, but it's normally one of those London style black, like big kind of looks like a PT Cruiser kind of cab, and Chaz is like, "Fuck you." You know why? You know why I have to drive this piece of shit because you ruined my life. And you did whatever happened in the past. I don't know what he's referencing.
Now all this money because I lost everything, so I had to get in with like the mob, and
like borrow money to buy this piece of shit. And now I'm trying to make a living with this thing. So like Constantine's giving him a hard time, and Chaz is like, "Fuck you! I'm sick of being your friend. I hate you. Like you're a son of a bitch." And then like Hellblazer's like, "Okay, well I guess I'll just leave now.
I can just walk from here, thanks."
And then like as he leaves, Chaz's like, "What's this then?" And there's like a note, like an envelope on the seat, and he opens it, and it's like, dearest Chaz, my bestest, longest friend. Like, I'm writing this to tell you that I am dying, and you mean so much to me, and I know you're in a real, like, I know I've been a bastard, and that you're in a real hard place, and like, here's a bunch of money, and you can pay off anything you need, and you should be able to buy a new cab. And like, Chaz is reading this after he just went on this rant, so it's like, it's funny because not only is like Chaz means enough to Hellblazer to like for him to write a note and pay him back, but also it's him like being like, "And you just called me an asshole, and don't you feel bad about it? Because now I'm dying." So like it's him getting a jab, even though he's telling him he's dying. It's like he just got out of his car after he called him an asshole. So now Constantine gets to like have one last like kind of like joke to him, but also help him out as a friend. So then Chaz is like, "What's going on?" You know, like how like he's dying or whatever. And then the last thing he does is he goes to see Matt. And Matt is the older gentleman who had cancer in the cancer ward. And through this whole thing, he's kind of met with Matt a couple times, and he's become really good friends with him. So he goes to see Matt for the last time. He's like, "Hey, old timer, like, just wanted to tell you, like, my clock's about to get punched. This is our last time. I don't want to string you along, or I didn't want to like just not show up again. So I'm telling you, like, it's been a good run. It's been great to meet you, like great to get to know you kind of thing. And I'm out." And so like the old man's like, "Well, thank you." And like
he's old and dying, and he like forces himself up out of the bed. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And he like is like, "I just wanted to shake your hand."
Yeah,
this is where I was like, "Oh, something's about to happen." I was like, "Oh no!" It was legitimately just like
like a touching moment.
touching friend moment. I was like, "Oh wow, okay."
It's funny how like that just builds tension, even though there's no tension there to be had, like because we don't know, like we don't know if he's evil or not, or like what's gonna happen. So we're like, "Oh. Is it like it kind of just adds tension because you never know with Hellblazer what's going to happen." So, but yeah, so he tells Matt goodbye, and then he goes to like some old flat he had in the middle of nowhere where like bad shit happened there. Like, so I'm assuming like this is where a lot of people died because he's like, "Oh, they got the blood stains out of the boards and all this stuff, and it's so bad like no one else ever rented from here, so it's been abandoned since he left," and he just starts. Drawn like pentagrams on the floor, and he's like, "Okay, time to start the plan officially." And like he basically summons another demon, right? And he summons it, and the demon's like, "Why would you call me Constantine?" And it's like, "Hey, second." So this is the second king of hell that he summons, and he's like, and then like they don't really say what he says or anything. He's kind of inner dialogue, like, "All right, this is going good. I got to make sure." Like he doesn't suspect anything.
Yeah, and he's like, "What's your answer?" And then it says time, and then it's like, "Yes."
Yeah, and so then we know he agreed to something. We don't know exactly what the bargain was, and then he leaves, and then Constantine's like, "Quick, gotta like get rid of those candles. Gotta get rid of the smell in the room, and gotta get rid of like the pentagram on the floor." He like redraws it in a different way, and then like puts new candles out and lights them. And he's like, "Okay, they can't like cross each other as they're going back to hell or whatever and coming up." So, so there's two entities coming now. We don't know what. He's like, he calls forth the third king of hell, and nothing happens. Like the second one didn't see the third one or anything, so no one suspects anything. And basically, again, you don't really hear what it is, but that one agrees as well. and then like he just is like, okay, perfect, that one leaves, and he's like, okay, time to really get this plan in action, and he like slits his wrists, like all the shit, just like all over the place,
like down his like half of his arm.
Yeah, on both arms, he slits his, kind of like the movie, just like the movie.
Yeah.
So like just like all the way down, and all the blood's coming out, and he's sitting on the wall, and all of a sudden this creepy fucking figure comes out, and it's the first, and he's like, "Ha, Constantine, you didn't want to like suffer, huh? You just wanted to do it yourself. I like that in a man, kind of thing, like taking charge or whatever."
And he's like, "Aren't you supposed to wait until I die?" And he's like, "Yeah, I wanted to watch you die."
Yeah, yeah, basically, and so he's like bleeding out, and they're talking to him, and Constantine's thinking in his head like, "All right, this is going a little slower than I thought." And he's like, basically like he's trying to like make it so he's about to die. He's not there yet, so he's taking his time dying, which he's not happy with, and which Constantine's not happy with, because part of his plan is he's supposed to die faster, ish, and so he keeps like cutting his arms and stuff, and then it just like leaves it there where he's on death's doorstep, but he's not quite dying, and now the first is in the room.
Yeah.
So then issue 5 starts, and the first is like, "I'm gonna tear your soul apart. I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna roast you. I'm gonna smash you. I'm gonna, all of these tortures he's got for him for eternity." And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the second shows up and is like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And then like the third shows up and is like, "What? You two sons of bitches better not be crowding in on my deal," or whatever. And then we find out that what happened is that John tricked all of them, and so the first was basically by like rights of combat kind of thing, and like because
he was insulted,
because he's insulted. Yeah, it's like John slapped him with a glove, and now it's like, "How dare you, sir?" Like I demand satisfaction or whatever.
Exactly.
So that's basically what it is. Like he demands satisfaction, like he has first rights to Constantine's soul based on that. And then, but what happened was Constantine called up the second and the third and told them, "Oh yeah, no, I want you to have my soul. I'm going to sell my soul to you, and I'm going to sell my soul to you." Did he say what he sold his soul for?
No.
I don't know what the deal was as far as what he sold his soul for, but basically it was just like, "I'll give you my soul," and he's like, "Okay." And the other one, and the third one, he said the same thing. So basically, all three of them are owed his souls, and they all don't want to give up Constantine's soul.
And I love that the other two are like, "Wait a minute, what do you mean he insulted you?" And he's like, "Well, that's on my business." And Constantine's like, "If you don't tell him, I'm going to tell him what happened."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You drank holy water, you piece of shit."
Yeah, I tricked you into drinking holy water. I bested you in like a game of wits or whatever. And so...
Oh, then because he calls it he's like, the Nazarene Pez.
Yeah, yes, because it's holy water.
Because it's holy. I know. I just thought that was. I thought that was an interesting way of a demon, the devil, to say it. Like, yeah, that. I was like, oh
wow. And so he, so like they're arguing, and he's like, as they're arguing, he's like, "Come on, let's." Like they can't argue. They have to. Basically, he wants them to decide fast what to do, because he knows the only thing they can do without starting a war in hell, and he knows they don't want to do that again, because there's already been a war in hell after Lucifer left, that we don't really hear about in this, but that's why they don't want to start a war in hell. And so he knows they're going to have to cure him somehow, so he can't die. So that's basically what they do. Is the first is like, "All right, fuck it," like John's like cutting his wrists even more, and like trying to make himself bleed more while they're talking and like angrily discussing this, and like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, they're all railing. I love he's like poking at him the whole time. He's like, "Y'all should have read the dotted line. Y'all should have like conferred. Like, obviously, like I bested like the three like smartest people in hell or whatever."
Well, and also basically he says, because I'm John Constantine and you wanted my soul so bad, you just like didn't read the whole contract or whatever. So, or you didn't like fact check, so you didn't go back and take the time to look at all the, oh wait, did you already sold the soul to someone, kind of thing. This was kind of like you were saying Homer when he's like,
"I'm smarter than the devil."
Yeah, like that, where he's like, "But I can't give my soul to you, Satan, because I already gave it to someone." And it's like, "I award my my soul to Marge," like, so that's like basically what happens is he awarded it to everybody, and they don't want to give it up. No one's willing to not have Constantine's soul. because it is so valuable and like kind of noteworthy. And so he like the first like fuck it then we'll just save him and like figure out what to do later kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like we don't have a solution, but we can't let him die. So basically he like, and this was interesting, I thought, instead of just like healing him, he like, okay, since you need me to heal you, John, I'm going to heal you in the most painful way possible. And he like rips out his lungs, all the cancer in his lungs and everything, like inch by inch. And then like, and like regrows it. And he's like, surprisingly, the regrowth is actually the more painful part. And like stuff like that. Like he just like fully like does his body. And then like he actually like has like a portal that he makes, and John's body comes out like a reborn anew. Like so he's like a brand new human, basically, an adult or whatever. And so they're like fuck you, John, we'll get you one of these days. And then they all have to leave. And then this is like the best part. This is the quintessential, like, this is a new John Constantine era from Garth Ennis. He's like, should I do it? Yeah, I should. And then the next page, when you turn the comic, it's just him giving all the Satan's the bird.
Yeah, while they're all leaving and he's about to leave, and he's like, oh yeah, let's do it. By
the way, fuck you. And so he like gives him the bird. This is the only thing that was weird. I don't know if Will Simpson is British or not, but he gave him like the American bird.
Oh, that's true. Not the
British one. Which I don't know if he did on accident. I would assume Garth Ennis would have caught that, but maybe he didn't see the pages before they put it in or whatever or something. I don't know.
Oh, because there's no words on that page.
Yeah, so maybe not. I don't know what happened. So, but either way, maybe he meant it to be that or not. So, because there's other things that have happened in the comic where an American artist will draw taxis for, it says taxi drives in London Street or whatever, and they will draw it like yellow. And then they get a bunch of shit from all the British readers who are like, taxis aren't yellow over here, mate. Like they're fucking black and they look like this and they don't look like fucking Detroit cabs or whatever. So, they've gotten shit a couple times whenever like an American artist does the art for it and fuck something up.
Maybe the middle finger is also fuck you in hell. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. So basically, he flips off the devil, and that's like the end big kind of thing. And then the sixth issue is just an epilogue, and the sixth issue was fun, and it kind of also just another like touching moment is he goes back and he like has to go to all his friends that thought he was dying or dead right now, and is like, hey, just kidding, like I'm not dead, like don't worry, I thought I was gonna die, but I'm good now, and don't worry about it. And then he does that, and he like has drinks and stuff, and he celebrates, and then he's like, oh shit, it's been like 4 days, and I haven't told Matt I'm still alive, and so like he goes back to Matt, and Matt's still alive. He's like, oh thank God, like I thought maybe you were dead, and Matt's the old man, and so he's talking to the old man. The old man starts coughing after he's like, well, I'm glad you made it, and he doesn't even ask like, what the fuck, like how did this happen? You were on death's door and now you're like fine again. And then Matt just like starts violently coughing, and then the nurse is like, he's flatlining. And then like Constantine watches as it says like he like vomits up his lungs and blood and stuff, and then also like shits out himself all at once or whatever kind of thing. Because he says we find out Matt's got like colon cancer and all this other shit. So a bunch of other shit's wrong with him. So he basically has a very, very violent death.
Horrible death.
That's kind of like, Hellblazer John gets to see what he might have gone through to a certain extent, and like, but also like, why did I get saved when like Matt seemed like a good guy to like deserve it? There's a little bit of play on that in himself, kind of thing, like in his mind. So, and that's pretty much how it ends. It just ends with like him kind of thinking like, well, now I'm good again. I'm back at it.
Got the demons off my back for a while.
Yeah, and like now
they're gonna have to figure that out.
Do some fun shit or whatever, So, I'm alive, and it ends like that. So, anything else you wanted to hit or touch on that?
Not particularly, other than I like the art. The art was fantastic in it again as well.
It was really clean and really clear.
Especially like we were kind of talking about this a little bit before, like so many covers for Hellblazer. I'm like, oh man, that would be really cool to like have up on the wall. That's a really nice art piece.
Yes. So all the covers before this were done like I think by Dave McKean, who's like an amazing artist who does like multimedia art, so it all looks really different and stands out.
Yeah.
And then all of these covers, I don't know who did them, but it was also kind of like, I think it was Sean Phillips? I don't know. Someone did them and it looked really, really good. Like it wasn't like a typical cover either.
No, almost every single one is like, it obviously references Constantine in it for the most part, but
or like something, it shows something that happens, but you don't know. Like, it's not like a superhero punching someone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's not Constantine giving the bird or whatever.
No, he has some of the most unique covers I've seen for sure.
Yeah. And so yeah, in that note, what would you give this one, John?
9. I don't even have to think about it. I
9.
loved it.
Perfect. I'm converting him, guys. That's what it's all about.
Well, I will tell you, had it been the first part, the whole part that you wanted me to read, and this if that was all one, because the first part I enjoyed, but it took me a bit to piece it together.
Right. It's the last 5 issues of a dude's
exactly.
run.
So had it been all of it together, it would have been lower. But specifically
the Dangerous Habits.
That is one of the funnest comics I have read so far.
Awesome. Yes.
I loved it.
This is a 9 to me as well. I love it. I love it.
Not a
so
10?
Much. This isn't my favorite.
This isn't your favorite? I want to read your favorite.
This is one of the best. Well, this is one of the best. I have to go back because I haven't read Hellblazer, like all of them, for a while. And I have favorites in each one.
Yeah.
Like, I like his growth over each.
Do you have
arc.
you have the whole run now?
I have the whole comic book run.
Awesome.
Of just 1 through 300.
This is how long we've been friends. As I remember when we started hanging out, like you had a lot, but I remember you're missing like this part and this part, and like literally most of our friendship for years was you
Yes.
trying to find those one individual issues to
Yes.
complete your collection.
Yes.
For this run, like Matt Hansen was trying to complete his Hellblazer complete run for a long time.
Yeah.
It was
So I got it. I think I got it like about 6 years ago or something. I got every issue, but yeah, like surprisingly, some of the last issues were hard to find, even though they're like the newer ones,
Yeah.
because they were like by the end of the run, it wasn't really selling super good. There's like, oh yeah, I only ordered like 2 of those.
Oh, they printed less.
Yeah, they just printed so little of them, so it's harder to find unless you go to eBay. And I don't like to just find them on eBay and pick them up because it's like.
You try
Well,
to
you
support local comic shops.
But also just like you didn't find them, you know. Like the part of the fun is going to a shop, looking through the back issue and going, oh, they have it, you know. Like
Yeah.
that's part.
That's
of the
true.
fun.
That kind of stuff does get lost nowadays. It's true. That's why this is such a crazy time. But like, if and when you can, like, still go out and support your local comic shops because like this is gonna.
Oh, they
this-
need it for sure.
Yeah, this is gonna be a time where like we really don't know if they're gonna survive from this. Like,
Right.
It's wild.
Well, it's that, and also like just comics in general haven't been doing amazingly for like the last 10 years or whatever it's been, 5 years. So support what you can and pick up Dangerous Habits trade, and know that the first half of it is weird, but really good. Like this is really like dark and gothic and fucked up and everything. But this second half of it, the Dangerous Habits part of it, is really, really amazing. So on that note, next week we are going to be reading Black Science by I think it's Rick Remender and Matt Escalera, I believe is the artist. The art is so fucking cool in this book.
You said it sounded in the cover art looked really cool. It's
the only thing
cool
I
indie
know
piece.
about this book, I mean, I've read Rick Remender's stuff, but the art is what catches your eye in this book.
Awesome.
It looks like 50s sci-fi. It's a sci-fi book. It looks all old school, like deco style and everything. So I'm really excited to read this. And then if you guys want to read along and then like listen to our thoughts on it, feel free. If not, we'll spoil the fuck out of it for you, and you can decide if you want to read it after that. On that note, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email me or John at planestransandcomicbooks@gmail.com, all one word.
And don't forget to check out our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channel for exclusive content. Matt's going to be putting up a new hardcover review here pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know when. I've been super busy with work. So.
Oh, but there's more coming. We got a lot of cool stuff in the pipe coming out, and like we kind of hinted at, October is going to be a fun month, I think.
Yeah, I think October we're planning on doing some extra like episodes, some fun stuff, some one shots, a lot of maybe scary issues you've never heard of before. So definitely check that out. Give it a listen. Yeah, and we'll see you guys next time.
Next time.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.